If it feels like you've been waiting forever for Godzilla vs. Kong, you're definitely not alone. This film was announced in 2015 and it's scheduled to be released in November 2020. Although the title gives away a lot of the movie, I'm guessing there's going to be at least one more big bad kaiju in the mix. There have been some serious hints that Mechagodzilla will be making an appearance in this film, but there are plenty of questions that remain. I'll talk about how this creature could be brought to life and what impact that could have on the next big screen kaiju clash. The internet has made it easier than ever before for rumors and alleged leaks to be released about upcoming movies. But it still seems like the number one source of spoilers is toys. Let's just say there's a reason why Jon Favreau wanted to hold off on making Mandalorian toys until the first episode aired. A Baby Yoda action figure would have really ruined one of the best pop culture surprises in recent history. A simple toy may have managed to spoil a major plot point for the upcoming movie Godzilla vs. King Kong. At a toy convention in Hong Kong, figurines were unveiled to promote the film, and one in particular was quite interesting. It seems to show none other than the robotic kaiju Mechagodzilla himself. That seems like a pretty huge hint that Mechagodzilla will be making an appearance at some point in Godzilla vs. King Kong, and there's another seemingly solid piece of evidence. During the end credits of Godzilla King of the Monsters, there's a montage of newspaper headlines which you might have missed if you've got too many refills on your movie theater concessions. There are some straightforward ones like Rodan nesting in volcano north of Fiji, but others are more open to interpretation. The gist of them is that things are infinitely nicer when humans and monsters live in peace with one another. One in particular reads, "Monarch boosts forces around Skull Island." If you're a monster movie fan, then you probably know that Skull Island is the home of King Kong, and has been since all the way back in 1933's King Kong. Further reading reveals that teams of geologists have been investigating the area and found something interesting. Monarch had attempted to create organic titans in the past, which caused several recent incidents in the area. But since then, he's devoted himself to crafting a mechanized giant creature on Skull Island. The article also mentions he is a part of a group that believes the Muto attack was an inside job. The Muto attack is a reference to the 2014 movie simply titled Godzilla. These Mutos, or massive unidentified terrestrial organisms, gave the audience an opportunity to root for good old Godzilla. This Easter egg could help explain the King of the Monsters post-credit scene, in which Alan Jonah obtains the remains of Ghidorah. Clearly, that's not going to lead to anything good, but it could lead to the creation of Mechagodzilla, who might be the mechanized giant the article mentions.
We don't know that, Rick.
Oh yeah? Just wait for it, Chad.
The post-credits scene and the end credits together seem to be clearly pointing to the idea that a new mechanized monster will be rampaging on the big screen. Combined with the action figure leak I mentioned earlier, it kinda sounds like a sure thing that Mechagodzilla is gonna show up during Godzilla vs. Kong. Come on, did you really think that movie was just gonna be about Godzilla and King Kong duking it out? You know the studio's gonna try to pack in as many over-the-top monstrous characters as possible, and Mechagodzilla definitely fits the description. Of course, there are other mechanically enhanced creatures in the Monsterverse, including Mecha King Ghidorah. I definitely wouldn't mind seeing this cybernetic creature facing off against Godzilla and/or King Kong, depending on how the movie plays out. If Mechagodzilla is going to be incorporated into the movie, the big question is where is he going to come from? After all, giant mechanized monsters are made, not born, so there has to be at least one person in the Monsterverse who thought creating such a creature was a good idea. I don't want to spoil anything for you, but I'm going to go ahead and predict that it will turn out to not be a good idea after all. To answer this question, let's take a look back to the 2014 Godzilla movie. In the beginning, there's a scene where Monarch scientists are seen exploring a giant skeleton found in the Philippines. It's thought to predate even the mighty Godzilla himself, and in the credits, it's referred to as Adam. It doesn't look exactly like Godzilla, but it's certainly enough to have been easily a distant relative of some kind. Could this ancient skeleton have something to do with the creation of Mechagodzilla? In the 2001 movie Godzilla Against Mechagodzilla, the Japanese military experiments with the skeleton of a Godzilla defeated back in 1954. They decided the creature just wasn't dangerous enough, so they decided to make a giant mechanical replica. The cyborg monster was supposed to fight for humans, not against them, but even if you haven't seen the movie, you can probably guess how that worked out. Sometimes it's appropriate to fight fire with fire, or giant rampaging monster with giant rampaging monster, but that doesn't work out so well here. Kiryu had some incredible tech, like its freezing absolute zero cannon, but unfortunately its soul was awakened by hearing the scream of the real Godzilla. The first time this happens, it results in a massive rampage that only stops when Kiryu runs out of energy, and scientists decide it might need a few tweaks in terms of design. This seems like something that Monarch could be responsible for in Godzilla vs. Kong. After all, on paper, creating a giant powerful robot monster in order to defend humans from other giant powerful organic monsters. It's possible that the Atom skeleton from Godzilla or the remnants of Ghidorah from King of the Monsters could be used in the creation of a new mechanized menace.
Ghidorah, the one who's many.
You what?
It's entirely possible that Monarch will be motivated to use Mechagodzilla as a secret weapon in order to fight against the Titans. While Godzilla is great and all, he's a lot more difficult to predict and control. If Monarch wants a way to battle the Titans, then creating a giant mecha kaiju is definitely one method. It's possible that they want to be prepared in case they need to fight against Godzilla or some other monster at some point in the future. You might be wondering, just what is Mechagodzilla? Well, beyond the fact that it's a giant, dangerous, mechanized version of Godzilla, I'll give you the benefit of the doubt and assume you figured that part out on your own. There have been a few different versions of this creature over the years. There's the Showa Mechagodzilla, who was a battle machine created by the Black Hole Planet 3 aliens, also known as the Simians. They might look like something straight out of Planet of the Apes, but dang, can they build a giant robot monster. They created Mechagodzilla in an attempt to conquer Earth since their own planet was being sucked into a black hole. Well, that didn't work out, and they made Mechagodzilla 2 the year later. Hey, if at first you don't succeed, keep cranking out those giant robot kaijus, you know? Then there's the Heisei Mechagodzilla, a weapon created by the G-Force. This is a very specialized military branch of the United Nations focused on anti-Godzilla weaponry. The first attempt at a weapon, Garuda, was too weak, so they picked through the remains of Mecha King Ghidorah, a futuristic cyborg. Using this advanced technology, they were able to create their version of Mechagodzilla. I talked about the Mechagodzilla known as Kiryu earlier, who was developed to protect Japan from monsters. It incorporated organic components of a late Godzilla, but this meant it was influenced by Godzilla's roar, and therefore ultimately unreliable. There are different versions of Mechagodzilla, and they tend to be incredibly dangerous and often unpredictable. Oh, and did I mention they're also awesome? Yeah. What's better than seeing Godzilla fight against an awesome robot Godzilla? Because one other thing that all of the Mechagodzillas have in common is that we miss seeing them on the big screen. The last genuine kaiju movie featuring Mechagodzilla was Godzilla Tokyo SOS, which came out all the way back in 2003. After that, there were the animes Godzilla, Planet of the Monsters, and Godzilla City on the Edge of Battle, as well as an appearance in the movie Ready Player One. I'm not saying Godzilla vs. Kong needs Mechagodzilla, just that it seems like this particular kaiju is long overdue. As for Monarch's reasoning behind building a giant mech monster, come on, do you really need to have a reason to do something so awesome? Okay, there's a perfectly reasonable explanation for why this particular creature could be created in the first place, other than the Mechagodzilla's designed to destroy Earth. For the most part, they're intended to fight against Godzilla. Sometimes Godzilla does the human race a solid and helps out by fighting other giant monsters, but for some reason, most people don't find that very comforting. In Godzilla King of Monsters, Dr. Stanton expresses relief that Godzilla is on their side, to which Dr. Chen replies, "For now." Come on, isn't this a face you can trust? Even though Godzilla ultimately ended up helping the human race, it's not surprising that Monarch doesn't have full faith in this giant kaiju. Instead, it makes more sense that they'd want to incorporate the benefits of Godzilla into their own, more easily controllable creature. Well, easily controllable in theory, anyway. Not only could Godzilla not show up in time to help protect humans, but there's also the possibility that humans may need to be protected by Godzilla. Since he's in control of the remaining Titans, he would be a massive threat if he goes rogue, and having a contingency plan in place for that situation wouldn't necessarily be the worst idea, at least in theory. You definitely don't want to be left scrambling in a giant monster attack, so Monarch has incentive to look into different options before disaster strikes. Since the design of Mechagodzilla is based on Godzilla, it will be interesting to see how Monarch sets to work creating it. They could use the Atom skeleton I mentioned earlier, or the remains of Ghidorah Jonah purchased during the King of the Monsters post-credit scene. One possibility is that they'll use Atom to get ideas about how to lay out the structure of their new robot. But another idea is that this Mechagodzilla will actually have some organic components, making it a cyborg instead of just a robot. They could potentially use DNA from Atom or Ghidorah and some kind of Jurassic Park type procedure to reanimate these creatures. Because we all know how well things went in that movie, so let's give the monsters some massively powerful weapons for good measure. Godzilla vs. Kong is said to involve Monarch embarking on a perilous mission into uncharted territory. They're hoping their expedition will provide them with information on the origins of the Titans. If they manage to find that out, it could definitely give them a great starting point for creating their very own monster. According to director Adam Wingard, The movie will involve lots of monsters going crazy on each other, which, okay, so far so good. But he also noted that he wants the film to have an emotional impact on audiences and for people to feel invested in the outcome. After Godzilla helped out in Godzilla King of the Monsters, it would definitely be poignant to see him getting overpowered by a beast humans created to fight against him. This could be exactly the kind of emotional moment Wingard says will be included in the film. I'm starting to tear up just thinking about it. So let's get back to talking monsters, shall we? As I mentioned earlier, there are quite a few different versions of Mechagodzilla, and I'm sure the movie will put its own spin on the character in terms of its origins and weapons. Just a few of its most impressive weapons are the eye-mounted laser cannon, missiles ready to be launched at a moment's notice, and Cryu even had an energy blade which functioned like a giant sword. Some of the tech is specifically anti-Godzilla, like the one in Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla 2, who could absorb Godzilla's atomic breath and turn it into plasma energy to then be used against him. Monarch's experience with Godzilla in the previous movie could help them create a monster specifically designed to eliminate the original. Regardless of what Monarch intends to do with Mechagodzilla, I have a feeling it's gonna end up doing whatever it wants. Kaiju tend to do that if you haven't noticed, and Mechagodzilla is one powerful being. Now the title of the film is Godzilla vs. Kong, so it's safe to assume that at one point we'll see Godzilla vs. King Kong. Hey, what do you want from me? I didn't name the movie. These monsters are both heavy-hitting behemoths with no shortage of fans, so seeing them faced off against each other is definitely a no-brainer. They've been duking it out since all the way back in 1962's King Kong vs. Godzilla. Spoiler alert, King Kong won. But there are a few things in the universe that bring people together more than a common enemy. Even though Mechagodzilla was designed to combat Godzilla, it could easily pose a threat to King Kong as well. In order to save their own lives and take down this metallic menace, Godzilla and King Kong might have to take a break from pummeling each other and team up in order to preserve their own lives. Kaiju assemble! The synopsis of the film also includes a bit about a human conspiracy that threatens to wipe the creatures, both good and bad, from the face of the earth forever. We all know creatures like Godzilla end up fighting each other in straightforward combat, but human beings tend to be a lot more devious, so it's hard to say exactly what this conspiracy is about. It could be a group of eco-terrorists who overtake Mechagodzilla for their own nefarious purposes. This could be anything from destroying Monarch to stomping out monsters who are just minding their own beeswax and not bothering any humans. Maybe Monarch will build Mechagodzilla with the idea of keeping him around just in case, but then he ends up falling into the wrong hands. And really, when it comes to Mechagodzilla, most hands are the wrong ones. Giant robot monsters are really hard to use responsibly.
He's gone.
There's also the possibility that Monarch won't be at fault for the creation of Mechagodzilla at all. Aliens created these monsters in Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla and Terror of Mechagodzilla. I'm not suggesting that it'll be the exact same ape-like alien creatures, but it would definitely be surprising to see extraterrestrials added to the mix. After all, when you have giant lizards and monkeys running around, are aliens really that crazy? It's possible that there could be some humans either working for Monarch or outside of it who want to help the aliens cause damage to Earth or straight up conquer it for whatever reason. We know there'll be a human conspiracy, but we don't know that it will only involve human beings. There are definitely some people who just want to watch the world burn, and what better way to do that than with a massive Mechagodzilla? If there's anything that could break up a battle between Godzilla and King Kong, it would be Mechagodzilla. It was designed to be superior to Godzilla, so it's possible he'll need some serious backup if he wants to survive. And if Mechagodzilla could easily threaten King Kong as well, this could give him an incentive to help out. During Godzilla King of the Monsters, the ending was left a little bit ambiguous regarding the real winner, something that audience members weren't that happy about. According to director Adam Wingard, this time around there will be a definitive answer. We don't know who it'll be yet, but someone's gonna walk away the clear victor. Will it be Godzilla, King of the Monsters, or even Mechagodzilla? But just because I think Godzilla and King Kong are gonna team up in this film doesn't mean I think they're gonna be best friends forever. That would be nice, but it definitely sounds pretty unrealistic, even in a movie filled with giant monsters. Defeating Mechagodzilla may be a huge accomplishment, but it's likely that the threat it presents will only cause a temporary truce between Godzilla and King Kong. The idea of man versus nature is a common one in the Monsterverse, and it's something we definitely saw in Godzilla the King of the Monsters. And what better way to exemplify that theme than to have two organic creatures battling a man-made monster?
Hey, look at them go!
I'm of the opinion that when it comes to giant monsters, the more the merrier. So I'm hoping Mechagodzilla makes an appearance in this movie. Let us know which kaiju you hope shows up in the comment section below, and don't forget to click on subscribe button for more from CBR. Bye for now.